Welcome to the Nectar Research Cloud video tutorials. This tutorial will show you how to connect to your virtual machine using the VNC console. This is applicable to both Mac and to Windows computers. Now, to start with, we want to connect using SSH because there's a couple of things we need to set up on our VM before we can use a graphical interface with the VNC console. So, on a Mac, I'm going to use Terminal. If you're using Windows, you'll be using PuTTY for this. If you're not familiar with how to do it, please review the tutorials on SSH for whichever platform you need to be using. Now, in my case, I need to switch to the Downloads directory because that's where my key is. SSH -X, remember, for the X11 forwarding. And I need to put in my key and the IP that I'm using. Now remember, we don't get prompted again to include this in the known hosts because we've already done that and our machine is recognized. Okay, so it's telling me here I've got a message system restart required, so I will need to do that in a moment. But before I do that, there's a couple of steps I need to do in order to get the VNC console working. With the VNC console, it requires a username and password in order to activate. The problem with the default installation with of Ubuntu is that there is no password for the user Ubuntu. Now, we have to set a password in order for VNC to work. So to do that, we do sudo Ubuntu, passwd and the user Ubuntu. And then we'll be prompted to put in a new password for Ubuntu. So put in a password and type it again. And you'll now have a password for Ubuntu. This will allow VNC servers or clients such as the VNC console to actually connect to your VM. Now, in order to have a graphical interface, we need to have some X11 installation in place. Simplest way to do that is sudo apt-get install Ubuntu desktop. Now this takes quite a while, so you might want to go and get a cup of tea. We'll just zip through this so that you don't have to watch it. Now that our Ubuntu desktop is installed, we have an X-Windows environment that we can connect to using the VNC console and other methods. So let's switch back to our web browser and have a look at the dashboard and click on the actions for our new server, and we're going to go to VNC console. So if we click on that, this might take a couple of seconds, but now we can see that we have a graphical interface available. It's logging in automatically as Ubuntu, and now we can put the password that we had. If it doesn't work immediately, you may find that the keys don't start typing in, so you might have to actually click on that control on the grey where it says connected to get it to respond. If you click on this link here, you can switch between Ubuntu and Ubuntu 2D. Ubuntu 2D is a little less heavy on the processor, so it's probably a good idea to switch back to that. Then press enter. And in a moment, you'll find you have a graphical interface. Now this process will work for both Windows and Mac, so there are some issues with older versions of the Research Cloud environment, but it appears that the new one works quite well, so that should allow you to get a VNC console up for both the Windows and Mac platforms. However, as you can see, you're limited in size. You have to sort of scroll around to work it, and it's also, if you look at the mouse tracking there, it's a bit sluggish. So there are alternatives, and one of the best ones is the FreeNX. So I recommend that if you have the opportunity, have a look at the FreeNX tutorial and consider using that as a graphical interface instead. But this at least is enough to get everybody going. Thank you.